because the Indian Yogis can't just have a 2-2 split. They need to score 1 full point at minimum more than the Canada Chessbrah. So Magnus Carlsen with white against Vidit. Vidit is capable of holding off Magnus. That's just not going to be easy because Magnus Carlsen is Magnus Carlsen. But Ariantari, he gets white against Raunik Sadwani. Raunik has been in shaky form. So if I'm thinking about this from the Chessbrah's perspective, I want to put the match away on those top two boards with the white pieces. But you are right. 2 out of 2, not likely on those top two boards just because how strong the Yogi Grandmasters are there. So it's about those bottom two boards. Can the Yogis win with both of their players getting the white pieces? Can Razvan Priotu bounce back from what was a tough game 3? He had 2 great games and then 1 shaky one. So which Razvan Priotu will show up and which Levon Aroniak Ghosh will we see? Because Aroniak, super strong player himself, important in the Pro Chess League. So if we look across the other boards, in the top right, Raunik Sadwani with black, he's getting very active with his queen. In the bottom left, Aroniak Ghosh against Razvan Priotu. That's just a complicated queenless position where both sides have both rooks remaining. And whoa, okay, let's dive right in because I saw the last move played by Razvan Priotu was pawn to b5. And if you look at it, it's white with a spatial advantage. And then b5 gives white some kind of actual edge. The eval is going up. And what happens if Aroniak just takes this pawn on b5, Tanya?
Yeah, you can take the pawn on b5. Not just that pawn, Robert. You can also take the pawn on c5. Once black recaptures with the rook, then you take the pawn on c5, forcing a rook trade, and it looks like you just end up with an extra pawn on c5. I'm slightly surprised with Priotu's decision to break with b5, and this is Aroniak's chance to take the edge in this game, which would be a huge deal for the Indian Yogis if he's able to play this one with the white pieces for 2 results.
Yeah, I mean, he can just take this pawn, the rook takes back, then you take on c5. White is going up a pawn here, I think, by force. And this is what strong players often do. So I'm going to say, first of all, black's winning a pawn, losing a pawn, excuse me. But Priotu is saying, I don't want to defend passively. If instead of playing b5, there aren't really clear moves to make, at least not ones that look useful, while at some point, white is going to try to double rooks on the b file in due course. So we saw b5, and then c4 played, but this just hands white a very impressive pass pawn. It's going up to b7, where it can be protected by this bishop. A pawn takes, simple trade of pieces. Black's pawn structure is healthier, but white is up a pawn.
That is not a pawn. That is a star in white's position. I mean, coupled with that bishop on g2, getting to b7, black has got no way to put the rook on a8. That bishop on g2, an absolute monster, which makes me think maybe black has to think about stopping and blocking that diagonal with a move like d5. You can't allow the bishop to keep spitting fire down the board. The b7 pawn with the knight jumping into b6, knight jumping into d7 is a clear idea, a clear winning plan that white has. And Razvan in huge trouble here. He's not only down a pawn, he's down a massive pawn on b6.
Yeah, and b5, bishop b4, bring more firepower towards the queen's head. Rook f to c1, up to c7. All trades will favor white with this pass pawn. That was, I think, just a surprising decision by Razvan. He was feeling uncomfortable, and I was trying to say that strong players often give up material for activity. This was the wrong decision in this game. This could be huge for the Yogi. So, Tanya, I mean, we got to go back to the bird's eye view. Do you see what's happening?
Exactly. I was just keeping an eye out for that. I mean, take a look at that top left board. Magnus's queen has arrived towards Vidit's king there. We've got a queen on h8. This looks super dangerous. Imagine if that bishop from b1 gets check on g6. That's game over. Knight h4, bishop g6 would be completely done for. The eval bar says that white's attack is going to mark the end for Vidit, but I don't see a clear way currently because after knight h4, you still have knight to e7, and that's why he's vacated that square so that the black knight can come to defend the king.
Okay, but the evaluation bar went all the way through the roof, so I have to look at tactics here. Where are they? I think because of the evaluation bar, I didn't see it myself, bishop g6 check is actually the best move. And after king takes g6, I'll just show that quickly. You take, the queen comes to g8, and the king is lacking escape square. So somehow, knight h4 check is next, and there will likely be a mate. But Magnus, and that was a ridiculous thing to find. He plays e4. He still keeps a huge advantage, right? The bar is still sky high in his favor. The knight moves. Where is it going to move to? To f4, perhaps? But this king is still in danger.
I mean, bishop g6, what a move, Robert, but impossible. Impossible to play. And that also when you're playing in about a minute, just hanging that bishop. But a great concept there, you pointed out. e4 hits that knight. Knight f4 is an option, but as you're pointing out, it doesn't solve black's problems. What black really wants to do is try and drive that queen away. Bishop to d7, try and kick that queen out at some point. And Magnus, meanwhile, has got a couple of moves to build the attack. I'm trying to think how he can improve the position because it looks like he's done everything right. Ideas of bishop f6 are screaming for me. I don't think they work right now. But the point is that after g takes f6, queen h7 would have been a check. Magnus plays queen h7 first, and the Evalbar does not like this move.
It says it's equal. I think you were right. And look, Magnus is now worse. He made 2 inaccuracies in a row. He's going for the g7 pawn. But after pawn takes, bishop takes e5. He's hitting this knight and g7, but can this knight simply retreat back to h5 here? Did Magnus completely miss that? Oh, he did. Look at him shaking his head. He missed the simple retreat of the knight, protecting g7. Vidit Gujrathi might steal this game.
And look at Vidit. He knows it. He knows he's got the defense up, but he's down to 11 seconds on the clock, Robert. And that is a tough task with just 11 seconds. There's still danger on his king, but Vidit Gujrathi is on the brink of winning against Magnus here.
But time trouble will play a part here. This king is still not fully safe. Knight f6. There might be bishop takes an e5 check. So the king may have the king may have to march into the center of the board. That looks very scary. What is it going on to e5 check? He goes g5 first.
Okay, this is blowing up. He doesn't go e5. Black could have fallen back with the king. He gives a check first. You can still go king f7. Everything is safe. White doesn't have enough pieces right now. But where are you hiding? King f8, queen h8. He wants to block it with a knight. If the bishop sticks in to put more pressure on the pinned knight, the queen can slide up and defend. Magnus Carlsen is busted right now.
He is busted. The queen comes to f3, threatening queen d1 check and defending the king on the f-file, which means that what can white even do here? The bishop has no squares. The bishop has no... You go up to c2, but that doesn't look right. Oh, no. Queen trade, down a piece. This is just going to be a win for Vidit Gujrathi, who forces the queens off and now is in a completely, easily winning minor piece endgame, where he's up one.
Oh, my God. Unbelievable stuff. And with... the Indian Yogis have already leveled the score here with their win. They've got 6.5 to 6.5, and now it is Magnus's team. The Chessbrahs that need to be careful. Magnus is down an entire piece. This is just completely lost, and Vidit needs to just show a little bit of control on his nerves. He's super good at that, Robert. I'm in shock at the turnaround that we're seeing. And what was it, 82% saying that we're not going to see a playoff?
84% said the Chessbrahs would win, but now it's looking like the Yogis are going to win. Raunik Sadhwani wins with black against Ariantari. Vidit Gujrathi about to win with black against Magnus Carlsen. This is resign time. It's easy now, and there is a resignation. We need to go back to that moment very quickly in this game before we head to the other ones. That Magnus Carlsen, Tanya, we saw the Evalbar up and away, that in this moment here, bishop takes f6 was in fact a winning move. If you take with the pawn, queen h7 skewers the queen on b7. So if you take with the king on f6, then the white queen goes to f8 with check. This king, if it goes over here, up comes the pawn e5. And if you block with a piece, a queen to f7, there still is e5 check. And where is your king going? The answer is nowhere. You have to take with the knight, and this rook on c8 is hanging at the end of the line. Not easy to see with under a minute on your clock, so we can forgive Magnus Carlsen, but there are all sorts of tactics surrounding this black king. But let's tune out from this one just because the other games are getting crazy. Look in the bottom right where Vaishali and Jennifer Yu down to her final seconds. There's a bishop on g7. The Evalbar changes in the Yogis' favor.
And Robert, if Vaishali wins this, there's no tiebreak. The Yogis take the match. They need one game point to actually win the whole match. And what a turnaround that was in the Magnus Vidit game. It is unbelievable what we're seeing. Bishop g7 is a huge sacrifice. If you take with the king, the queen jumps onto d4, gives a check, marches down to h4 as well. It's just unbelievable stuff happening. The bishop retreats right now. I actually thought it was black's move there. Wow.
No, the white moved. The white bishop moved, excuse me. Now the bishop slides to g6. Good defense by Jennifer Yu right now. But f4 with f5 looks like a crusher. And Jennifer down to her final 3 seconds. She has to make a move. She brings the bishop to e4. Take it. Sack. Queen h2.
And slide. Oh, unbelievable. Robert, I don't know what to say. And it's on the board. Vaishali doesn't miss this tactic. The queen will line up with the rook on the h file and give a mate on that h8 square. This is over. And that 84% did get it right. If Vaishali wins this, no playoffs, but it will be the Indian Yogis who take this match. It is checkmate on the next move.
This is an unbelievable comeback. They were down by 3 points. It looked like they were about to just lose in 3 rounds. They, in fact, win. This is one of the most epic comebacks in Pro Chess League history. You see that game finish, and we have 1 game remaining, and the Indian Yogis may win that one too. Let's get more victories for the Yogis. This king on f8, Razvan Priot's king, in trouble. We saw him give up the pawn. That still remains a passer. This is ridiculous. The Yogis are so powerful.
Wow. So the match score currently, it doesn't even matter, Robert, because take a look at this. It doesn't matter what happens in this game. Indian Yogis are the winner of this match, and the way that they started, no one could have predicted this end.
Rook e1 should lead to a checkmate here. It, in fact, I believe leads hunted. This is going to be a 4-0 round for the Yogis. I cannot believe it. They were down, I believe, 6.5 to 2.5 before they scored those 3 wins in a row in that third round of action. And Vidit Gujrathi scores a stunning win over Magnus Carlsen. Raunak Sidwani, we didn't even see his game. He won with the black pieces against Ariantari. And very early on, it looked like this one was going the Yogis' way. All 4 boards clicked at the right moment, Tanya. That's what you need in team events.
I am absolutely stunned here. And look at that. White picks up the other rook. And with that pin, you win the game. And that is it. 4-0 to the Indian Yogis. And they take the match against the Canada Chessbrah team. What a turnaround. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before, Robert. This is truly a monumental moment in chess history.